What's up, family? Welcome back to another live or episode with AB Investments. Let's see, who do we have in here? Hanzo. Wow, nice to see you in here, my friend. Hi, I'm working and listening, but I did have one question. Is what CSI said about doing the reverse split on Ape going to happen before they convert it? Because I do feel that we'll let the shorts. Okay. Out of a big squeeze in eight, and if that happens and then we do a reverse split again, oh my god, I'm gonna really have shares. I'm so confused. Barely gonna have shares. Okay, good question, by the way. I think I've seen that some parts of that video, Hanzo. Some people asked me about it in on a private Discord. Jay Rosales, how you doing, brother? So here's the answer to that. The thing is, CSI, like, okay, he's pointing at a good, like, at a good thing, but the problem is, from the get-go, the understanding was wrong. Not just on his behalf, but from many people. Even if, like, I feel like his reason of why he's upset or about it is because simply the when you do the reverse split, the numbers is still the same. The math is still the same. Man, I am dying from my allergies. I am dying. I have cat and dog dander allergies, and unfortunately, I got four of these suckers in here. You can see, guys, like it's killing me. And I'm also getting used to that sleeping schedule. Like, woke up for the pre-market, had that tussle. I'll get into that in a second, but let me just finish the answer to the question. So the math to the reverse split is the same. Uh, I don't know, maybe his mind or many people's minds were in a different click. So like put it this way. Imagine if they converged everything in and then reversed it. It's going to be the same amount of shares that you will end up with as if they did the reverse split here and then the reverse split there and then they can add them together. So think of it this way. One, if you let's say you have 100 shares of APE and 100 shares of AMC. If you combine them before the reverse split, hypothetically speaking, that's 200 shares divided by 10, you got 20. Let's say they did the opposite. Let's say they did the reverse split in APE first and then in AMC, and then they did the conversion. So 100 here, 100 there, 100 divided by 10, that's 10. 100 divided by 10, that's 10. If you add 10 and 10, you got 20. So the number is going to be the same no matter how you do the math as far as what the proxy made. Now, here's where the point that I don't know if CSI was pointing out uh, to this point. Like, I don't know if this is his point. I don't think that was his point. I think his point was about the math, and he probably got confused over it. But here's where a good point is indirectly probably brought up. Instead of doing the conversion over from APE to AMC, there was the talk about there's no longer a need, or the shorts basically would not have to cover as much, because when there's 10 to 1 reverse stock split on APE, then there's only so much that they have to get, and since they already have a lot of APE, they can deliver and close with a lot of those before the conversion. But since there's a 10 to 1, then they get a little slap on the wrist instead of getting basically shot with a bullet. That's the best example I could give you, or like the comparison to it. So that's an indirect point that I don't think he meant for to bring up in that video. I think he was just talking about the numbers of, oh no, I'm gonna get screwed on the number of my ape, and I'm gonna get screwed on the number of my AMC shares. But it is a good point because, while the math is the same, as far as you losing basically your shares and having just about roughly about 80% left with your shares, because you gotta count in the fact that your ape shares when they come back in. So it's not technically a full 90% loss, because your AMC shares were always the same, before the reverse stock split and before the issuance of the preferred equity stock of uh, Ape. And when they merge Ape back with AMC, then you got to count that in. So you're looking at technically 80% of your shares. And I know a lot of people are asking about, hey, B, you're always laughing and always smiling. I've already said my piece on that. Like I'm not laughing because of people's pain. It's crazy how negative people's minds can be. I'm laughing because I'm always smiling regardless. You never know who that can affect or whose life can that smile could change. Life is much bigger than the stock market. But hopefully that answers that question, Hanzo. This is why this is just one simple thread into one of the many reasons of why I'm against this reverse stock split. But there's a little more to talk about as far as how do we go from here? Because the last thing I want is to go ahead and create this animosity amongst the community. And in the same time, I don't even want to allow it to the other side. See how we're already creating sides? I don't even want to create. I don't want to be in that zone where people can exploit that. And we'll talk about that in a second now. But let me say hi's to the people in here, to the family. Jeffrey, it looks like you got the notification for this one. What's up, brother? Go Eagles. Jam Bams, my one and only. Thank you, love. How are you doing, baby? I didn't talk to you for a while. Mikey J, the goat is in the house. How are you, Mikey? Leah, how are you doing? I was literally thinking of you just the other day, and I was talking, of course, in good faith and good remembrance about to my jam bams about you, and how I reminisce our convo that we had in the past. Hopefully, all is well with you, my friend, and I look forward to having a talk with you, the much awaited for talk. I love my pets too. Shirley, there's my family. Look at that. Much love, Shirley. I don't know what I'd do without Shirley, uh, Adrian, Jeffrey, many other people. I'm not gonna just sit here and count any over anyone else, but much love to those special individuals, especially like those are my inner family members. I already see a comment I'm laughing on, but I'm gonna get to it now in a second. In Cashman, are we screwed? No, we're not. We're not. The feds are trying to. I just hope, I wish people would understand or like listen to the smaller channels, maybe like this one, from over a year ago. I broke down a big diagram to everyone, and some of it I repeat here and there, but the idea of understanding who's masterminding everything, you by figuring that out, you would have a much bigger understanding on what forces you have to battle and how you got to go about your battle. Like this is not rule number one in life. I hope the green screen is on because otherwise I'll be shirtless, and no one's saying anything about the ABs being shirtless, so therefore I know the green screen is on. I'm just kidding, guys. Real jacket. It is 27 degrees in Cincinnati, Ohio. I know you guys don't like that. I don't like it. Let's see if we have any questions before I can finish saying hi's and hellos to everybody else. Tampa Bay Buckeye. Here's our Buckeyes, the Ohio State football players. Hey, B, how about my Fed prediction? Nailed it. Yeah, you did. You did say a quarter. And they did raise it 25 cents percent. Um, Smiling, no soup for you. Jeffrey, that's wrong. You killed me, man. Or did you? Javi the Great, what's up, brother? Hopefully all is in good hopefully you're all in good health and in good spirits. How are you, brother? Nice to see you. Point Break Thor. Hey, what's up, family? What's up? Oh my God, this coffee's amazing. Man, I had a crazy pre-market, guys. Well, as alerted to you guys, uh, this is why I even like literally just woke up from a nap in the night. Like I knew, and I when I posted that thing, I was like, this MGAM thing was gonna be a tussle in the pre-market. And that it definitely was. So I'm glad that I did all my thing in the pre-market and was completely out before the market even opened because the market today, you had to keep in mind, whenever there's an FOMC meeting, you're gonna have a lot of volatility, which is a good thing. But in that moment, you're technically going 50-50 based on the not the fundamentals of the market of what's happening, but based on who knows what before it gets announced. So in the pre-market, made some good trades. Hopefully, some of the family members made some money. I don't know. I've gotten yesterday from a few people that they like the idea of pointers, having some pointers out here and there throughout the week. Um, it helps people balance their over leverageness or balance their leverage with their long positions, like the ones in AMC or GME or whatever meme stock or whatever long you're holding. Nobody can have it has any say over anybody else. So as long as you're not over leveraged, that's what this whole game is about. You could technically, and here's a funny controversial statement. You could be a bag holder of a stock, and if you haven't had your stop loss or your percentages, if you're, let's say you're not a day trader and you're a long trader normally, you like to invest, you're an investor, you're not a trader, you're an investor, and you like to go in on something and, reap the fruits of that investment later. However, the timing, some people would like to be in something for a week or two and then get out. And some people's understanding of long is years, like Bitcoin years. Um, and to some, it's like, months or whatever, and it changes. Thing is, you can be a bag holder in a play, but nothing stays down forever unless it's a terrible company. Because if you're thinking in a manner of an investor, you're not gonna work like you're not gonna overlook many things. Like you're not gonna overlook their balance sheets. You're not gonna overlook their. You're gonna do a full profile research on that stock or on that company. So if you think like a long, you're gonna go through all those things. So let's say hypothetically you had all these convictions, you've seen everything in that play and everything. However, the markets didn't give back what you kind of expected. It did not, and you're stuck in a downward trend. And in the same time, you got caught into a bear market. In the same time, you have been waiting longer and longer and longer, and since you're not a day trader, you have never had this like these ideas or these things or these artillery in the back of your arsenal where you're like, hey, I'm gonna get out right here, or I have stop loss. If this thing goes south, where's your percentages? If this thing goes north, where do I start collecting? A long-term investor do not think like all of that kind of stuff, like this, like basically like a trader or a day trader. Most of the times, it's a long-term investment for majority of the time. And when you do that, you're thinking about all that portfolio stuff and everything. In day trading, I'll tell you this. 90 probably percent of the time, I don't even know what the company is about. Literally, like 95% of the time. What they do, what they serve, they could be infecting people with cancer. God forbid. That's a terrible example. Um, and I, again, like as a day trader, I'm just not looking at that. I'm looking at the technicals. I'm looking at the volume. I'm looking at how it's moving. Forget the news and the hype and all that stuff. Even though that kind of factors in, but when you walk in, you're walking in with a complete different mindset. I'm not looking into YOLO. I'm not looking in to get, you know, rich off of one play because this is a marathon. When it becomes a day trade mindset, it's a marathon. We'll talk now about a little bit more about that, but I just thought that I would bring that up, especially after when you could, like, it's an amazing feeling when you can maximize your position in your long, like the stocks that you did your homework on, and the stocks that you did your DD on, and the stocks that you like, you know what? This is what I'm gonna be long on. I'm gonna be long on this. I'm sorry, my phone is blowing up. Like so many people want to text me, especially when I'm live, right? um, but yeah, so like when I'm going long on the plays that I did my DD on and all that stuff, it's so amazing, such an amazing feeling to maximize my positions in those plays while I'm reaping profits from them. So kind of like I'm making my position bigger from and within the market. I have my big conviction in AMC and GME and in the meme stocks that I hold and some other ones that have nothing to do with that. Like uh I have one of my favorite ones is like CCI, not CEI, different story. Um and that company, I don't know if like people want to hear about that and what's good about that company. It's literally like my probably my number one long uh stock. It's just an amazing, 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 amazing stock. And I'm not saying it so like, oh, people go buy, oh, people don't buy. Maybe don't make financial advice. He's not a financial advisor. But that stock, that company technically owns thousands of like over 5,000 real estate, not just real estate like buildings or homes, real estate and commercial property that basically it has so many towers that Amazon, sorry, not Amazon, Verizon, I don't know why Amazon came on. Thinking about my Prime membership. Is it due today? But they have like basically they have over 5,000 towers that they're leasing long-term lease to all those cell phone carriers. Think about when how many people has a cell phone. How many of your kids has a cell phone already? Everybody has them. That business is going nowhere. And to have over 5,000 towers that you technically own because it's on your land and you're leasing it out to these uh, cell carriers like Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint. Well, they merged T-Mobile and Sprint, Boost, and whatever. AT&T. They can't operate their business without you. That company. You see what I'm saying? So that's one of my favorite long stocks. Like I'm always gonna be pumping in and pumping in and pumping in, because it's a way for me to preserve my gains. Well, it's not a good thing for me to gain money here and then lose it over there on something different. So the idea is to preserve that wealth and preserve that those profits, especially with an equation where for me, I'm always like, okay, from these profits, I have set percentages cut out from whatever number I raise, and it goes into all my long positions, AMC included in them. I've been doing that well over 2.5, 3 years. So, and I've said that in the beginning of my journey. It's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling. So I'm glad, and hopefully, so many of the family members in here made some good money early this morning, and was able to move the needle and add more to their positions before the you know the annexation comes about. Let's see. Leah, bracing for bad weather. Yeah, you can have as much of it as much as you want of it. If you come here to Cincinnati, Ohio. Hey, AV, money don't jingle, it folds. True facts. Mrs. Chase, good evening to you as well. Yalla yalla habibi. PV. PVV. Y'all can call me anytime. Touche. I got you. I'll take you up on that. Scare money ain't my money. That is facts. Hey, you gotta sell hopium, bro. You'll get more views. Yeah, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I can't find it in me. I can't do it. Fly Eagles. Christopher Santos, how are you? Short version of Jerome Powell. Oh, of course it matters. So, Shirley, and to the family, this is part of something that we were going to talk about. I've always said from the beginning that the feds was not only masterminding this whole thing, like as far as it's a big player in this. And yes, this is unofficial, non-factual news. It's just my opinion because I see the game. You know, sometimes you see the game, you see what is being played. You can't say who initiated it, who's doing it, but you know what the play is or what the game is being that is being played and what it is. Um, by seeing the feds, as they say that they want to do market easing, and they want to make sure that the economy does not fall face forward, nosedive, and crash the way that many of us, including me, is awaiting for. The way that they're doing it is by them implementing themselves from within. As I mentioned to you guys a long time ago, I don't know how many people in here would remember this. Said to you that the repo and reverse repo operations is always amongst two different individuals or parties, like this bank and Yay Bank, or this fund and this fund. But only in certain times, in terrible times, in such exquisite times, like the times that we're in since 2020, is when the Fed gets involved and they become the counterparty to all these other ones. Who is connected to the Feds? If you look at it, just about everyone, even Citadel Securities months ago was sponsored by JP Morgan to have a connection to the feds. So basically, everybody gets this repo and reverse repo. Fidelity. Look at Fidelity. That's making its own rounds. I even retweeted this. Fidelity is the biggest broker, what, technically in the US. And they have exposure to billions of dollars on a daily basis when in repo and reverse repo operations. If you look at the Fed's repo and reverse repo, it is still above 2 trillion since 2021. This is unheard of. This is unheard of. The end of 2021. But that's a very long time. What that tells me is that the feds are constantly making their best, buying and basically over leveraging overnight, taking all this crap that most likely is housing most of these stupid synthetics and mortgage-backed securities and all that stuff. The synthetics especially are stuffed in there, and then they give money in return to these vampires so that they have the liquidity that they need. So I've said this, like, the liquidity is technically, or the money is technically not an issue the other side have. The issue they have is with shares. Once this FTX and the Almeida crap was gone, that was for all of 2022. That's where they were getting all these random shares. Whenever they borrow all the shares, whenever you go on Stanko trackers and you're like, yes, we're at 0 shares left to borrow. When those are gone, suddenly you see more shares pop up. And you're like, where did they get them from? Oh, yeah, they fabricated it. King Griffin. And it's not necessarily just King Griffin. He's only one of the pawns in the game. And of course, one of the biggest pawns, having already met what the biggest Ponzi scheme limit ever by Madoff was at 65 billion. He's already up there plus with securities that he have basically delivered but never purchased yet. And this is one big piece, as I say to you in the videos that I upload. If those securities were to go and be purchased to their respective destination or companies, then none of those companies, all those companies, whichever companies that are not like that, all those assets, which I believe that AMC is probably the biggest one out of all of them, because of the pedigree of what it will mean. If all those securities were purchased, not just delivered, but purchased as well by the market maker and by them, then the market cap of the stock would not be where it's at right now. And thus far, the price of the stock itself would also reflect on that. And which means you're talking about crazy margin calls to banks. I love how people always are constantly so engaged with what they do, what the other side do. So you're technically always in reactionary mode. You'll never beat the other side. You're on defense mode. You're reacting to what they do. They're always going to be a step ahead. The only way to be on the offensive is to play your own game. See what they do wrong. See what they're doing. Understand that whole game and who's trying to basically give you a bump from the back. That's a nice way of saying it. And call it out for what it is and don't participate in it. Do your part and do not cave in. For 2022, since January of 2022 until the end of until it got exposed, that FTX and Almeida was their number one and the only route that they were able to go to get shares. Money is not an issue for them. They've been making money. You know why they've been making money? Because all the money that you paid for, that 65 billion assets that were not purchased. Imagine, that's not $65 billion. No, 65 billion stocks, like assets, which means any of them. If it was AMC, let's say 65 billion on an average of $10 when AMC was much higher on its way down. There you go. you can only imagine how much when you multiply the respective price of those stocks by the 65 billion of those assets. That number is just, it literally is just the number of the stocks, not the amount in dollar sign. That's just what's not been purchased. You're talking about trillions of dollars, technically, guys. Trillions of dollars have been taken. So as far as money, where did that money go? We paid that money, whether institutes, retail, mostly retail, and paid all that money, but it was never purchased. Like, you bought it, but they never made it count in the back end yet. So that money, where it doesn't go to sleep, it doesn't just evaporate. It's not sitting on hold with those stocks that are not purchased by the market maker. They are flipping that money. When you see those MGAM, MSGM, those plays that we've noticed, that we put on the community tab in the YouTube channel, and people jump on there pre-market, those day trade plays, those pharmaceutical companies, those penny stocks that pump MSGM way over 1300%. Like, whoa. Um, Most of the other stocks, 100, 120, 180%. Obviously, there's a lot of space for people to be making 10, 20, 15, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25%, maybe 500%. MSGM made it so simple to go ahead. I mean, yesterday, if you got in when was alerted in the pre-market by me yesterday, and you held through at any given point yesterday, you would have had over 400% in profits, at least, minimum, at any given point, which in turn could turn up more heat and obviously loading up on people's, like basically people can load up on their positions more and further and basically hurting them more, the other side. And not over leverage yourself. This is the way you deleverage yourself, by making other income streams. You're opening up other streams of income. So in case there's so much pressure from here coming at you from your long position that you've been over, like let's say in for about 2-3 years, and I don't know everybody's finances, but if you are over leveraged in this position, then you just opened up airways, like an extra a couple stream of income coming in that could make you deleverage that long position. In the same time, they could make you, spend out of your own money. And who knows? Day trading can make people extremely wealthy, like extremely wealthy. If you have your structure, you got your percentages, you have your strategies. Once you wield that strategy, then it's sky's the limit at that point. And greed must be tempered, contained in parentheses, and square rooted. For all my math and number lovers out there. So when you see that they are getting over $2 trillion daily, 2.5, 2.6 trillion in the repo and reverse repo operation the very next day through the Feds is making money. They make their percentage off of that transaction. Because, some of you will ask, like, hey, so AB, what's in it for them? I want you to ask those questions. Why would they do that? Well, for over 2-3 years since they've been bailing out banks, basically free money, how they recuperate that? How do they get that back? Well, for 3 years, been doing repo and reverse repo on the rise, and every time it's higher, the more that their percent in that loan, because it's like what, 0.5, 1%, as they keep like lending out that money. By the next day, that's, guys, they make millions and billions of dollars on a daily base. And in return, every day we going through this cycle. It's a day-to-day cycle. The house of cards can crumble at any given time. So money is not their issue. What their issue is, because they can get it from anybody. They can use, if you guys seen that Madoff series, you've seen where whenever he needed money, well, until it was too late, whenever he needed money, he had a few billionaires on the side that came in and like, I got you. I got you. Here, take this, take that. In this case, they got the freaking money printing machine on their side. The Feds is printing them money. Do you want billions? Here you go. You want trillions? I got you. This is Madoff, not 2.0. This is Madoff like 10.0, 100.0, infinite point oh. They even had the SEC approve that proposal that initially created and made it possible for FTX to do what it got to do in Alameda. And we know all their connections. I'm not going to open up an old can of worms. We know all the connections between the daughter that was the CEO of Alameda and ultimately how it wraps up back all to Gary Gensler. Now, am I going to create the conspiracy of, they were all talking on the phone? It's a waste of time. But we do know that it's there, and it's worth thinking of in the back of the head. So they even had the law tailor the rules so they can have access to shares, fake shares. But now that's out of the way. Don't everybody find it funny that we just issued a preferred equity stock less than 5 months ago? and then automatically, or is already up for a proposal to be converged and reversed back into the float. Why people haven't asked the question of why not just do a reverse split on eighth? Don't converge it back to AMC and then dilute. It's already about 900 million of it. Why not do a reverse split on that? The answer is going to be the same reason why they added, and this is the conspiracy part. The reason why they won't do that is because it's the same reason why they added voting rights for the preferred equity units. Now, where we will move forward from this, I will tell you guys in a bit once I continue reading all this, because I don't want to just take and keep going. Hopefully that answered the question, Shirley, and to everybody else, as far as why the Feds play a big role and what Jerome Powell did today and what their intentions are. They're trying to make it land softly. They're trying to make sure that the markets don't end with a market crash. However, that does not mean they're not trying to take us there step by step. What they're trying to avoid is the jumping off the building part to get to the bottom. We're going to get to the bottom, in my humble opinion. But they want to make sure that they're taking a step by step down the staircase to the bottom. Not wee. This is not Angry Birds. Not all the way down to hit the ground all at once. That's what they're trying to do. Could they be successful? Maybe. Because they don't want exactly the same shit that happened exactly whether in 2001 or 2008. Can they be successful with that? Probably. If they can't, I'm betting on them not being able to. This idea of, again, people thinking of the bull market, whenever there is a pump, in order to have a good shorting position for the other side, there has to be a manufactured pump. Just like we've seen in these past 2-3 years, you've seen as we're moving down in a downtrend, yet we do make pops. Those pops are technically there so that there can be another reloading zone. People confuse a move to the upside throughout the entire market. That means we're in the bull market. That's it. It's over. We had the bear market last year. Wait and see. Wait and see. So Jerome Powell dropped that 25 basis points. He still said the same thing. The inflation is sizzling hot, and we know that. Whatever they're doing in the name of inflation, but it's honestly everything they're doing is a total opposite of tackling or trying to tackle inflation. They're just trying to make sure that the market does not crash all at once, and where other people, part of their house of cards, gets the over leveraged and one basically flips or bends over. Next thing you know, the whole house falls down. And good luck with your market easing and economy easing and trying to get that inflation levels back in place. Danny R, how are you, brother? Christopher Santos, I am great, brother. Hopefully everything is going great with you. See if we have any questions. And while I'm doing that, I'll see family members and say hi. Say hi, I'll say hi back to you. Jeffrey Aroka. Heavy's discard. That's my family, man. Silence your notifications. If I do that now, I will end the stream. I don't want to do that. Oh, thanks, Mikey J. Yeah, people, please hit that like button. Let more family members come through. Let them know that we're here. At the same time, I don't want to make this too long for everyone, so that when people who don't get to see this after, and they're like, oh, I'm not looking at a 3-hour stream like normally what AB does. 3 hours, 4 hours, anything's possible. Shirley, I can't believe I'm still in CEI. CEI is not a bad play anymore. I mean, guys, if you haven't you like, I'm surprised not a lot of people have came out to point out the obvious, which is look how all these companies. I understand CEI, penny stock, no problem, but don't you find it obvious that almost all the meme stocks, whatever is a meme stock, or had that YOLO or the craze after it, is going through the same thing, delisting, NYSE, same place, reverse stock splits. I mean, CEI did a 50-1. Clearly in this, and they were shorted to oblivion, clearly, and they couldn't do shit after that reverse stock split. And I understand their market caps, and you should understand their market cap is completely different than AMC. But then again, to the naysayers, the people that say AMC is not like those penny stocks, then if we don't do this reverse stock split, they also say that we will be like the CEIs. We will be bankrupt, and that's like a pile of horse shit. Technically, you could easily say that, because shorts, as far as like their short theory, when everybody says we need this reverse stock split to happen so that we could dilute a little bit less and all this stuff, people keep thinking that, the man never even said that he will finish or dilute or he will pay out the whole debt in one pop. That's one. Two, the reason, one of the other reasons of why I warn people about this whole thing is because it gives them the authorization to go kind of like the Fed, market easing or short easing whenever there is a pop. And it happened in June of 2021. Whenever there is a pop, you're gonna have shares being thrown on the market and diluted in the name of dilution and paying down debt. And again, while that's the technical spot that we're in, there is also ways to go about it differently. For me, I would rather see AMC in one, not a cash burn operation. Forget the debt for a second. It's a big component. But how are debts made? Through cash burns. If you're constantly in a cash burn and you're every quarter you're losing. Even if I pay down your whole debt now, you're gonna have a new debt for me next quarter. So how do we stop that problem? That's the first thing that we need to we tackle. While they've been thinking about that and trying to do things about that, they could do better. And I've questioned some of the investments. While I do agree with Highcroft, while I do agree with buying those cinemas, I don't think they were the right thing for us at the right time, that especially with what we were going through. You can't be in a homeless place. Like, you can't be a homeless. I'm gonna try to give an example here, or a similarity. You can't be homeless and start or go to a store or a clothing shop or to a mall and start buying clothes. You're like, hey, I need to buy clothes or whatever. You need to find a home first. You need to house yourself first. Take care of the most important thing, then you can think about the long-term investments. Oh, I would like a swimming pool in my backyard. I would like this. Great. So do I. And swimming pool in the future will do great. But right now, you need a home first before you can think about the backyard and designing the backyard. So we need to see more of that. The credit card idea. Now we're talking about, as far as now, solving now issues. Popcorn on shelves. Finally, yes, he put it in motion back then, and now it's getting through. And things like that take time, guys. So it's understandable. That's a very great idea, because that brings in instant income. You need instant income. You don't need 10 years down the line, 5-6 years down the line investments or long-term investments. You need now. You need to eat now. And that's what AMC's position is. Now, if I was Microsoft, If AMC was Amazon or whatever, yeah, go buy all of Highcroft. Don't just buy 12% or 20%. No, buy all of it. It has big upside potential in the future because you're not worried about bankruptcy in the back of your mind. So the treasure trove of cash that we had, that we've raised from dilution in the past, was utilized on long-term investments, not solving now, which is the main reason of why we're back on the seat talking about reverse stock dilution, because we need more money. Technically, the board of AMC did an entire big failure with the money that we had. It's that's how you can label it at the end of the year. They did great efforts. They did great moves. They did great, if you were thinking in a boxing match, they did great jabs, but they couldn't deliver the knockout punch. And now they're on the receiving end and they expect their trainer, which is us in this case, to go ahead and tell them something that could, like, or basically get in the ring and fight this fight for them. Thanks for everybody that's showing their love for their like. As Shirley said, I appreciate you guys for hitting the thumbs up button. And I appreciate everybody for being in here, taking from your very, very exquisite time to spend some time with AB and the family here. If you have any questions, you feel free to jump in, Fortunato 2. What are your thoughts on XRP? Whew. XRP is like that prisoner that's wrongfully imprisoned, and it's only a matter of time before they get out. And when they get out, they're going to sue the shit out of the government, aka SEC. Not financial advice, but that's my thought on it. It's already being adopted by other countries, like global countries, as part of their currency. So that's a huge thing, only waiting to happen, especially with the evaluation of where it's at. Sky is the limit with XRP. It's probably actually besides Bitcoin, because of its value and obviously the unlimited chain. XRP is probably like one step away from being the next, perhaps the bigger Ethereum. So again, that's just my personal opinion. Hopefully that answers the question. But you got to remember, there is Ledger, and there is buying it from Webull, or these platforms. Rest in peace, BlockFi, and all those kind of brokers. I'm not a big fan of, and again, I'm not giving financial advice. Do what you got to do, but I'm not a big fan of buying this. You've seen what happened with FTX. You've seen what happened with BlockFi. You've seen what happened with all these other ones, and they're doing it, sadly, in the name of crypto regulation. This is why. So they're making examples with these platforms, which I feel like there's a big foul play. There's big space for foul play, just simply so they can create the reason of why Ken Griffin needs to be the market maker with his beloved Citadel and Paradigm and their third partner that invested in Citadel back in 2021 to become market makers in that crypto industry. They need to create a reason, kind of like, hey, go create a fire so we can say that we need a fire department in this village. So somebody goes and says, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna benefit a lot. I'm gonna make money out of this fire department. So what do I have to do? I'll just create a fire, multiple fires, make it a problem, make an issue so you can be the solution and make obviously a lot of money. Create your job basically, and that's what it is. So there's a cold wallet, ledgers. And that's what I'm a big fan of. And then there is buying it through basically the brokers that are out there. And in any given time, they'll even give you in a fine print, oh, this has no FICC backing or anything. You invest on your own due diligence. And anytime you could lose your money. Gorilla Grodd, drinking the same thing I'm drinking, hopefully. Black coffee. Any of you drink my coffee, I'm pretty sure you will have stomach pain for probably 3 weeks. I trained my tummy. It's literally espresso, and I could have it either hot or cold, but the ice espresso I will only drink in the morning because it yields more caffeine. That's one thing you guys all gotta know. I don't know, you probably all knew it. But the ice coffee yields more caffeine. So that I take that in the morning, and then at night or in the evening, that's when I will have my hot, you could call it an Americano. With a few shots of espresso. All the time make my own. It's rare that I would go to places unless it's a local business. You got to support those, and they have better coffee too, double A grade. Starbucks, that's for the unknowledge. Starbucks actually has the worst coffee you could ever think of. Sorry, Starbucks. I know you're not gonna ever in the future promote AB or anything or do any campaigns with AB, but hey, I'm okay. I'm willing to live with that. But Starbucks gives you Robusta coffee, and it's like literally the worst grade of coffee in the coffee world. They just sell you the brand, the green, the chick in it. It's just that's the brand, and they up price it. Let's see. Gorilla Grodd. The IRS touched me inappropriately in my bank account. Damn, man. The IRS, why you let him do that, Gorilla Grodd? Let's see. GG. A bump. We're not talking about. Well, oh, why it's it's a bump from behind. You know what I talked about. What I mean, Jeff. Yeah, definitely not no bump. Not that. Not Tony Montana bump. About so many shares in the 20s range. Lol, they are. Ooh, it just skipped on me. Sorry. Let's see. Where am I? Bum, 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 bum. Okay, I found it. I bought so many shares in the 20s range. Well, they are so rich off of me. For now, Hanzo, for now. Let's see. Need a class on day trading basics for dummies. For me, you'd never even say that. Cap, not likely. You just gotta see volatility. You just gotta go through volatility. I mean, obviously there is much to it, but the main components is to create the strategy and the numbers that you would stick to. So, for example, you will need time to go through and learn the candles and learn the Bollinger Bands and go through that, and it'll be fun if you like that kind of stuff. But in the same time, the most important components is to stick true to your fundamentals and to your plan on how you go things. So if you say I'm going to go in this play and I have a, for example, a 10% rule or a 20% rule, like so that's if the play drops from the point of your entry below 10% or 5%, then you would call it right there because you want to make sure you don't become a bag holder in the play. Day trading is different than long-term investing. So those things are extremely important. Where do you collect your profits? Everybody has complete different expectations out of every play. So you have to make those decisions and stick true to them, no matter how overwhelmingly good or bad something might feel. You have to be cold. You just have to be cold. Stick to it. Accept your losses and embrace your wins when you have them. And obviously you want to make sure that your wins are way more than your losses. Jeffrey. Mr. McCowan, how are you, brother? Thank you for your service as always. Look at that again. Let's see. Any questions? Broke ape. I don't think AA is very good at chess. Well, um, sometimes you guys got to remember some games when you know that the game, like, and how large and big it is. Like the game is much bigger than Adam, Aaron, or many other people. Like, don't be surprised if all this stuff is like handed down. Like, do this, do this, do this, because it's almost pitch perfect with all the other things that are happening throughout the market with even other companies. So it's he could be at, as far as I know, or as far as I even care to know, he could be completely like, not like just doing what is being sent, the telegraph that is being sent to him. Um, do I care about the details and sit in there and all that stuff? It's not, it's just gonna be a waste of time. Um, as long as you know the game, you know what you need to do to just protect yourself from that point. Because there's just some things that you cannot change in life. Just some things. So, and that's one of them. You mean not like clove, damn you, Lou? Man, I remember that mess. I feel bad for all the people. Let's see. Mm, ah, man. Let's see. Who's also in here? Aaliyah, how are you doing, my friend? Nice to see you in here. Hopefully all is well with you and your family. Ah, oh my God. The world misses AB right now. Everybody's sending. Are you guys hearing those notifications, or is it just me reacting to it? I would do the same thing. Yep. What's up, broke ape? I told you before, you should be a rich ape. Hopefully, we'll have a squeeze and not care about the reverse split anymore. It's a very big possibility. Um, it's not gonna be, again, not my financial advice, but anything that's before the reverse, because the idea is to prevent, from the other side is to prevent MOAS. Yeah, that's one thing everybody can agree on from the yes and the no crowd, is the shorts want to obviously prevent the MOAS. Um, if they know it's a lose-lose situation, what is their second way of thinking? Least amount possible, least amount of exposure to the losses, lessen the blow. That's going to be their next thing. It's either number one or number two. Number one is the last thing they would ever let happen or they want to happen. However, we have the weapon and the artillery and the ammunition needed to make number one happen. But when you see these reverse and convergent uh, splits, and then at the same time you have hundreds of millions of shares that could be diluting the overall float over time, this gives them enough to make sure that they don't have to deal with MOAS scenario. This is just the way I see the picture. You see what I'm saying? All speculative. Um, Before the reverse split and the conversion, they could. I mean, it could run up because they need shares. And since they don't have them, I mean, you guys see the borrow rates, right? Just yesterday it was like 225, and today what was it like? Went up almost up to the 300%, almost. Probably surpassed it even. To borrow, they need shares. Money is not the issue. They'll have money if somebody has shares. So like that's not the thing, but obviously they don't have money for the amount of money that you greedy bastards want for your shares. That's where this whole reverse stock split and conversion comes in. So if you're not going to give us your shares and lose that mindset of, oh, to the moon and we're going to go crazy, while you have every right and you have every reason and you have everything set up perfectly for that, this whole thing has always been about trying to make sure that that does not obviously happen or go accordingly to that extent. So perhaps before this split, give you an offer, send the price up. Not MOAS numbers, I don't think so, but maybe perhaps uh, a number that makes some of the community nowadays who are very tired and exhausted think about, you know what? I don't even have to worry about losing my shares. I could sell now for this price. Let's just do it. I'm barely above the green or in the green. It's much better than having to go through the tussle of not having 80% of my shares later. So that's a possibility. Anybody knows? No one. Anybody that says, man, all this grifters out there and they drift people, telling them day by day. We've seen so many Ricos and Suaves and all that stuff that comes in and will tell you for 3 years. We've even seen better in the beginning. Now it's like a wash up style. That next tomorrow we're squeezing. Oh no, that didn't happen. So next week we're squeezing. Oh, you know what? The Feds did this, so that affected the chart. So next month we're squeezing until it's 3 years later. That's bullshit. Anybody that will sit there and tell you this stuff, it's flat out lying. They can tell you resistance levels and support levels, and as a trader, when you see those levels broken, like you can see the movement, you can see it touching the resistance, or you can see it touching the support, and that would tell you, hey, there's a bounce coming. It just touched support. If it breaks through it, I'm gonna wait and see where basically this thing has the kind of momentum of dropping how low. However, if it touches the support and does not drop below it and holds through that, then obviously there's going to be a bounce to the upside. How big? You'll be able to see that between the Bollinger Bands, and you'll be able to see through the resistance levels, wherever the resistance is. The reason why they were having so much fun, the shorts, back after June of 2021 is because they were able to short from crazy levels, like so much gray area in between. In like you had like they could drop it from there, and the next support was all the way down. Obviously, it wasn't in their best interest to drop it all the way at once, or had enough shorts and everything to send it down back to 4 and 5. But that's where ultimately where we kind of took off from, sending it back to 9 and 8 and 10, where we had supports there from 74. Wasn't going to happen overnight. They did the Feds route. We're going to ease you through step by step so you don't crash at once. You just fall step by step. Now, like when you see where we at, this is why, even from a TA perspective, this reverse stock split and the conversion is hilarious, because from a TA perspective, if you look at it, our support and our resistance are literally making out with each other right now. Sorry to draw that picture, but what that means, as in, there's no place for the price of the stock to go to. Just about drop where there's nothing like the resistance and the support are literally just about making out with each other. And now all of a sudden we also need that. So even from a TA perspective, it's telling you this has got nowhere to go but upside. It's just amazing how now they could manage, or would manage, to consolidate the stock up and down, back and forth slowly within those support and resistance levels to get us through that reverse stock split and the conversion, and see what happened. If it goes through, then we got to move forward as a community. And this is one thing I will talk about at the end of the stream. Um, if it doesn't go through, then they would adjourn probably once, twice, three times. I mean, it makes for a good storyline to create more anger and animosity between amongst the community, so that the yay or the nay sayers will get mad at each other back and forth, and they would, thrive in those grounds. One thing about, unfortunately, the world or the community is that we all stand together at the same cause, which is AMC. But we all falter when we can understand or agree with each other from within the house. We'll talk about that now as we get closer to the end. Let's see. How far am I behind? Ooh, I'm actually way behind. Let me see. Let me move faster. Sorry, guys. Kim A, how are you doing? Vietnamese coffee is really good. I've tried it before. Just don't add sugar to mine. The DD I've seen says they won't need our share to cover after conversion and reverse stock split. Yeah, they still need, but they're not going to need it to cover their shorts. There, it's the way I have drew it out, Captain, is once they solve the short problem and they're off the hook. After that, it becomes more of a situation of the buying frenzy. As the price goes up, obviously people are going to come in and they're going to want, like, hey, I want a piece of the pie. People are going to slaughter each other. It's going to be like a gladiator bloodbath where people, who gets out, who gets in, where they get out, where they get in. And at any given time, when there is a lack of shares, uh, their goal is to get all the shorts covered and let people, basically, as long as they land on a safe zone and they get what they need. They don't want, the last thing they want is for them to be still stuck searching for shares when the price is already at 400 or 500 or 600. This is why January 2021, you've had with GME, AMC, and BlackBerry, and Nokia, and Zomatica, and all those, Sundial, all of those were halted. And in the same time, a few of them were even put on a suspension that lasted for days, over a week. AMC was the main one because AMC was the next best thing. It was the train to Jupiter, no longer the moon after GME. People, technically, let's just be honest. People at that time who didn't even know, the hype was all GME, and AMC was growing. The community was growing around that time, and then in the same time, you have people who, when GME was already at 100, 200, 300, what can they get? One share, two shares, three shares? Like, you see what I'm saying? Looking at AMC, that was at that time was around the $5, $4, $5. That's what it was at that time. People are like, okay, I'll pile up on this. Since it was possible with Doge, since it was possible with GME, since it was possible with all those cryptos back then, any crypto, we could raise AB crypto, and it would have went up like 50,000% and up to the upside at that time. And people were like, I will YOLO in this thing. Those are the OGs of AMC back then. Even the ones that didn't know, didn't even have to do much DD on AMC. It was just the next best thing. And it became even bigger afterwards. But the shorts, the last thing they want, excuse me, is for them to be in a scenario where the price is at 400 or 500 or whatever, and they're still looking for shares. They're still in there looking for shares, because when they're covering big positions. You're talking about they can easily cause the price to surge like $100 if they're all covering at the same time, easily, just from the beginning. So their plan is obviously to have something in the backup, so when the party starts, they have somebody to escort them in. That's all they care about, if that makes any sense, hopefully. Which is, by all means, shares that they can get from elsewhere, so that they are not still looking to cover when the price is at Mars. Nescafe is good. Thank you, Aliyah. That means you know and you drink good coffee. Sticking to the fire. MOAS before vote. Again, I don't see MOAS. The only MOAS I see is if there is no reverse stock split and the conversion to the AMC float and the issuance of those 400 plus million shares. That's the only MOAS scenario I see. Just my humble opinion. I could be wrong, obviously. Now, anything else would be nothing but run-ups, in my opinion. Let's be clear. MOAS is the 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 definition of MOAS is basically the squeeze that outperforms anything that preceded it. Just so that we understand what my definition of MOAS is, and maybe perhaps is different from many people in here, terminology of MOAS. So when I think MOAS, I'm not thinking what GME did in January 2021. I'm not thinking what Overstock did back then. I'm not thinking of that. I'm thinking bigger, larger. I telling people hold or sell. All right, I'm not telling people anything. I'm just saying the facts. So that's my terminology and my understanding of what MOAS is. So the only way I see that scenario is without any conversion or reverse stock splitting. Any other way, the other ones, I can see run-ups. I can see January 2021 GME run-up type like happening either before the reverse stock split or after, because as I said before, that a run-up is inevitable, in my humble opinion, in this stock. They will eventually have to cover. My thing is, I would have, like, from the beginning, my plan, and this is why I'm like sticking to. I could easily, guys, I have a platform. I could easily come out and say yes, 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 and yell it like Moses from top of the mountain, like I just spoke to God, and I have the all the tablets and everything. No, like the one thing about me is I've made a mission from the beginning when I first made my oath to make this investment with AMC that this thing will be the MOAS, and it will be the whole definition of it will be the power to the players. That was the slogan I followed. By handing that power over through this reverse stock split and the conversion, and obviously the issuance, the possibility of the issuance of those millions of shares, the 400 plus millions of shares to dilute and pay debt, the power is no longer power to the players, it's power to the system. And maybe you can be part of it. And that's not what my slogan was from the beginning. And I will stick true to it. I can say yes as much as possible. And yeah, we will have a lot of people in here saying, yeah, you're one of the true ones and all this stuff and everything. But I'm not the yes man. I'm not your guy that comes to tell you what you want to hear, what the community expects. There's two things. One, I will always keep the opposition side or conversation up and going because you need it. We all need it. Whenever things are just unanimous like this, there's something wrong. Look at the elections. I don't want to mention the countries because I might travel there and then they'll be like, hey, you spoke in our country. put him in the prison lockup. He's trying to start espionage and crap. But look at those elections. Any election that ends unanimously with a winner to be the king or the president or whatever, they're all corrupt. All of them. So you need the no conversation. We need the yes conversation. We need that. But in the same time, you need to also understand what each of them brings. Ask your favorite YouTubers. Tell them this is not financial advice. What are your thoughts? What is for not even bracket? Don't even talk bracketology. Do you think that this AMC thing is something that can outdo what GME did in January of 2021 after if we were to go through with this reverse stock split? Ask them. See, like don't give unconditional blind trust. That's one thing I'm always against. Everybody makes mistakes in life, except God. So anybody underneath that makes mistakes. CEO, regular guy, mechanic, panhandler, whatever. Everybody makes mistakes. So don't give blind trust to nothing, because that's the way you can corrupt something that is good. Ask them. See if you want to evaluate those people, evaluate them not based on what you want to hear, evaluate them on the truth that they're giving you. And if that truth matches with what what you have anticipated or what you expected. If my drive was to go after YouTube monetization and become rock star and make money off of super chats and all that crazy stuff and everything, then trust me, all that stuff would have been laid out in front of you for over a year. I've been monetized for over a year. I could easily say with what the trend is, anybody can hold the stick from the middle. Anybody can, and play the waves of the crowd. Would you appreciate that? Would you appreciate something like that? Someone who's just going to come and tell you either what you want to hear or what is best for their agenda? Either way, I've told everybody that with or without this reverse stock split, I anticipate a run up regardless, because they eventually have to cover. And when they cover, they have to buy back their shorts to close their position. And when they buy back their shorts, whether it's shares that they have to buy from us or from the company, there's so much from where that came from and so many shorts to the point where the run up will look lucrative. And it's going to make a lot of people think that if the yes was to go through, that we told you so. Yes, it's all about fundamentals. And if the no was to go through, and then people see what actually the term of MOAS means and what it does, then again, it's a reality and a thought that people are not even prepared for or not even wanting to think, because they're just so fixated on the idea that this thing is a yes, and already it's not an automatic yes. This is why they put those adjournments, multiple adjournments, and further solicitation until they get their yes. This is why they put that there. If they truly care about the opinion and the vote of the people, they wouldn't even need to go solicit afterwards. If the people spoke, the people freaking spoke. If the people didn't vote, it's an automatic no. We can adjourn and re-solicit. I feel like there's a lot of bot votes regardless that will cover a lot of things and take care of everything. If you guys can forgive anybody for creating something that the purpose of creating was to pay debt or to tackle the debt issue, and by creating it, we were technically all opening up our vaults because it was derived. Ape was derived from AMC. It's not like you can't give me a dividend from my own money. And that's what some people fail to also remember or understand or comprehend. You can't give me a dividend from my own money. You can't take my own money and say, okay, here's 5 back. Here's 10 back for whatever. And then obviously take it out from my money, and obviously my stock fell. So it was never a dividend. We created and we said, okay, here, I open up my vault. All of us said, okay, we don't want to create new shares of AMC. That's why we didn't want that, because it will dilute and give them shares to drop so that basically shorts can gobble. That's the main reason why we created Ape. It's so it's not funny at all, but it's so mind-boggling to me to see all those yes content creators overlook or completely just shove that to the side or sweep it under the carpet. The reason why everyone was saying no to dilution was because everybody unanimously understands what that does for a short squeeze and where shares come from and whose hands it goes into. And clearly he's doing a very good job at that, Adam Aaron is. He's dumping the shares in the right places, in the right companies' hands. So I'm so baffled of how that continues to keep getting overlooked. We created Ape, paid for Ape from our own blood and sweat and shares that we've been accumulating and working your jobs, your odd jobs, whatever you did to earn those shares. You technically, we all opened up the vault and said, reach in there, take half of it, put it out there, and then he issued more until it became almost $1 billion now. To only for the purpose of selling to pay down the debt. We said, okay, you know what? We technically said here we donate to AMC. We donated our money to AMC so that they can pay down the debt. And instead of selling it at 10, at 9, at 8, even at 5 or 4, he waited until it was in 66 cents, 60 cents, and sold a big grip of it for that much. And then came back basically saying, oh, they smacked me so hard. I didn't like it. Community, I don't know. I think I did a big fat failure with this ape thing. Let's converge it back and reverse stock it. And then we can issue 400 plus million at any given time. So basically, what we did by paying the money to AMC to do what we got to do, giving them ape, now they're proposing what we were afraid of happening back then. Now it's coming back 20 times worse than what it was. So you didn't agree to dilution or making extra shares, authorized shares. So here's what we're going to do. Not only are we going to create ape, give them voting rights back then. That's why I know that he knew what he was doing, that this moment in time was going to be, we were going to be back at this point in time. He knew ahead. By adding those voting rights and everything, and then waiting until the price was synthetically dropped 66 cents, because it didn't make no sense how ape was shorted down there with under what consensus and where, from what shares, from through what. And then eventually, now they're trying to merge it back together, do a reverse. And after the reverse, there's also an extra 400 million that could be issued at any given time. Like, come on, stop the wild juice, whatever juice that these people are drinking. Is clearly not this coffee. Either way, when they buy back their shorts, the other side, to cover whether yes or no, the thing is going to run up. We dictate what that run up is with the yes and with the no. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm getting to. I'm not saying, I will never say something like, where this play is over or whatever, like some of these other drifters or grifters out there that will tell people like this. No, I will speak 100% my heart, because I hate unjust crap to anybody in this world, whether I know you or I don't. I stick to my values and my principles, and it will never change for anything or anyone. And ultimately, this is how I see things, and this is how things were for the entire community. Now, people are using their platforms for their purposes, trying to get to the top. I can't hate on any man who's trying to become better, or woman trying to do better in life personally, but that's self-interest. This movement is much bigger than one person, or your dreams can't just to get to your dreams, it cannot be on the backs of this community. It just can't. And making people sheeply follow through to something like this, you could easily be okay with 50,000, whatever, 20,000 followers and AdSense and all that monetization and super chats and whatever. You could be good afterwards, whether the thing drops or doesn't. You don't give two shits. You got yourself to a position where you're good regardless. Squeeze, MOAS or not. But in the same time, what about all those people that are hitting all these thumbs up and those likes and those hearts and everything? We with you, yes. What about the ones that are sitting only on 200 shares? What do you tell them? What about the people that are sitting on even 1,000 shares? What do you tell them? Now you have 100 shares. And on top of that, that 100 What do you do with it? Can you look anybody in the eyes after the yes and the no thing? If the yes was to go through, and tell them that their 100 shares, they can wait until it's in the 4 digits or whatever in the 5 digits to sell? Even if you know what, you don't even want to go a financial advice route, 100 shares after a yes, then the price, hypothetically speaking, goes up after the reverse split. If your average was $10, let's say you were one of the lucky ones, you were able to average down your AMC down to $10. You're not one of the people that got in before, even back in 2020, when it was 5, 7, and 6 and 4. But let's say your average down is $10, and you got 1,000 shares. At that $10 valuation, when the reverse stock split is done, you're technically, even when you're technically going to need that price to go up to over 100 just so that you can technically break even from that point. So if the reverse split does happen and it goes through the 40 or the $50 range, it starts from whatever the price point it starts at, because we can't dictate the price point now. It's where the stock is at that point in time in the future when March 14 comes. So you're going to need to break above that. I want any chat of the year or super chatters of the year to come, or the month, to tell you, ask them, tell them, what do I do with my 100 shares if you had 1,000? And what the price will go up to 300. You just, doubled your money after 3 years, 2 years of waiting. You just tripled your money? That's best case scenario, probably. Who knows? I'm not trying to make anybody's mindset, but ask. I've spoken on calls in the backgrounds to many of these content creators, and trust me when I say this, and I'm not going to say trust me, bro. Most of these content creators do not even see the price going above 200. So just a FYI. Question your own people, question who you follow. Don't give undivided trust and undivided trust and blindly. Just question and see. If that's what your agenda was about, if that sounds good to you, then it's all good. It's all good. My thing is for the one that no one can support, the one that can barely get through with their shares. The people who have 50,000 shares, yeah, everybody's going to get hit with this, yes. Everybody. 50,000 shares, 10,000 shares, whatever, 6,000 shares, everybody's going to get hit with this. But to know that after 2-3 years of waiting, even if you had the 5,000 shares, what are you left with? 500? Once you sell, even if it goes to your numbers, not the dream numbers, because the shares would not be needed by you anymore, because it could be dropped from somewhere else. What is gonna be satisfying enough? Most people, I can see this happening. Most people are gonna bag hold into crazy proportions, waiting for the MOAS to come. And when they go back to ask their favorite content creator, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, it's still on. Yeah, they'll find an excuse. Don't worry, they'll find an excuse. I've always told you this is not financial advice." Let's see. Sorry for yapping for a while. Remember, guys, Mrs. Chase, yeah, they might have, but again, that's the word. They might have those. If they didn't have them, they would not put that stuff in the adjournment, in the proxy. So it's not an automatic no. No, they need this rally. So it's not an automatic yes. No. They could be very close, but anything is possible. Yes, no, whatever. Either way, the run up is coming. Either way, I'll tell you this: AB will be good. I'll take care of myself. Everybody has their way of how they'll do it, what number is their number, how they go, because everything changes. That's why from the get-go, there was never ever bracketology being made, because the anybody that makes brackets on something without knowing exactly how many shares are on their backside or anything is basically someone who's speaking out of their own ass. That's why that game didn't last very long. That whole bracketology naming crap. Oh, 300 to 600, 1200 to 2000. If this happens, yeah, that was a fun time. Folks, how are you, my friend? Varo Loco, what's up, brother? How are you? I almost said your real name out loud. Sorry. G Chronicles, what's up, brother? I get what people are saying as far as the dilution instead of diluting billions of ape and all that stuff. But the sad or the only issue with that is that people are only thinking with the barricades that the other side is putting on them. You don't necessarily need to go down that way. No. Just the same reason why you say dilution is only going to be in small increments. Same thing with ape. Same thing with ape. Doesn't need to drop 4 billion all at once. We already have some money still that could carry us technically until Q3. And instead of sitting and waiting, because big corporations don't wait until Q3 until they're completely out of money, they can dilute just enough amount at this evaluation of ape uh, at any given time. They could even do a proxy of saying, you know what, we want to do a reverse stock split on ape, and then dilute some of it. Even if they did a 2-to-1 reverse stock split on ape, they could dilute that at what, $4 or $5. Get enough of what you need that could take you until next year, mid next year, this time next year, or even a little bit after that, and leave the ball in the shorts court. Don't let us continue to dribble too much. When you dribble too much, you're holding on to the ball. You're not moving the ball. There's nothing that is being formed. Let them put it in their court. They need shares. We have shares. They need shares. Money, we need money. They have money. Money is not their issue. It's ours. Shares is their issue, but it's not ours. There's many ways to slice it. Just because one content or two or three or whatever content creators said, because and while they're sitting there yelling, we don't need to, we either go billions and bankrupt, or we're gonna get bankrupt and then you have nothing. I'd rather dilute some millions here and there. Anybody can with emotions say stuff like this, and it can get to you. Oh my God. But it doesn't necessarily need to go down the way that if I want to taint or paint a bad picture to you, I would just give you my picture, make it really good looking. This is what I want you to look at. And then the bad one, I'm just going to give you the worst case scenarios and everything about it, so that you wouldn't even look at the bad picture. You're just going to look at the good picture. Again, I could easily follow the trend, or I can hold the stick from the middle and play maybe yes, maybe no. There's both of those out there. They know themselves. But I'm going to be always me. No matter what, I will make this opposition, I will say it. And as soon as I finish some of these comments in here, I will say how do we go forward from this point. Jair Rosales, my vote is no. Respect Goonie. Everybody has the right to vote what they want, guys. Run up, squeeze Moas. Well put, Shirley. Goonie. Again, I don't know if you've seen my other videos. This whole idea about fundamentals, this only applies when the other side wants to apply it. Oh, destroys the whole short thesis. It doesn't destroy shit. Great companies get shorted. When Tesla got shorted, they got shorted because they had one bad delivery for 1 quarter. And guess what? Tesla bounced right back up. So even the best company, and we're not by any means a Tesla company, we're a movie stock. So the one thing, there is a fundamental world, but this whole game is not fundamental right now. The game that we're playing in is not fundamental. Because if it is fundamental, then your shares would be bought. They'll be purchased. They're not just gonna, you're not gonna just pay for them, and they're gonna be delivered but not purchased. Go find fundamentals on that. Ask those favorite YouTuber of the month or year to explain the fundamentals in that. Oh, we want phase this and we want phase that. No, the SCC will do their job eventually through this ruling dash 7754. Go comment on it. That's basically the fundamentals for you. Once again, when AMC's close in January of 2021, we had no fundamentals whatsoever. We were much worse position, in a much worse position back then in January of 2021, because we were just coming off the pandemic with bigger debt and a much worse outlook on the future. Yet we closed and we were suspended at 26, 27. Go explain the fundamentals to that. So when the shorts need to do what they do, there's no such thing. When your favorite YouTuber of the year comes in and says stuff like this because they've been in the market for a year or 2 or 3 years, that means they think, okay, if we do 1, 2, 3, that means 4 has to come to follow 1, 2, 3. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that in the market. It doesn't. And time will show, and time will tell. You can have the cleanest of whatever, and yet you'll still be dropped. AMC is still operating at a cash burn. Debt is not our only issue. The difference between yes and not is the amount of dilution. Please do your own DD. That's one of the things, Devil Inside. That's one of the things. It's one of the more important things. But again, there is that shady and terrible and wrong narrative out there that dilution needs to be, if it's a no, that means there's going to be billions of apes. And that's big false. Big false. Because dilution technically with yes could be 400 plus million shares. But then that's where the yes people will come in and say, no, he's not going to do it all at once. Keep the same energy. And I'm not having any heart, like, hating or mad at anybody or any of that stuff. Everybody knows I got nothing but love for the family, because at the end of the day, I will tell you how we move forward regardless, going forward. Adrian Fernandez, there's my brother. How are you, family? Get to see you on. I didn't get notified. Yeah, they have to do somebody. It's either you or Jeff. If it's both of you, then somebody's not else gonna get it. Shirley maybe, or Jamie are not gonna get it. Just another ape. Oh, what's up, Steven? Thank you for that update. Cost to borrow it. So it did go over 300%. They need shares. We need money. They don't need money. They need shares. All right, much love, Danny R. Thank you. So are you. Diaz, look, there's the gladiator. How are you, brother? It only seems like 7 years, Shirley. Let me see. Skipping down just to catch up, see if there's any questions. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Mm, where am I? Or how far? Oh yeah, I was far behind you guys. Damn. You guys are definitely making your comments in here. If you have any questions, please ask them now so that I can deal with them before I, wrap up of how AB's mind is about moving forward, regardless of the yes or the no. Look at that. At AB, I believe if the yes is implemented, Adam, Aaron, this is just another ape, Steven, will dilute a lot less than most are expecting. I believe 100 to 150 million. At most, the rest goes into war chests. Retail could soak up these shares quickly during the squeeze. And while that is exactly true, Steven, he might even sell less than that. But again, we have to remember the same thing can be done also with ape, not necessarily the exactly obviously the value of what ape compared to where AMC is or after the reverse stock split or where it will be. But you got to remember that the other side is over leveraged as well. They need shares. This is the only thing. This is the only way I paint the picture and see them getting to their shares. If they have to go through us, it's going to be a nightmare. Maybe this breaks the deadlock. Maybe the yes breaks the deadlock and they can get access to their shares. Then, now, as far as us gobbling it, well, where do you see in any of the proxy where Adam Aaron will technically drop the shares or sell them via special sale to straight to the market? It will go straight to companies or hedge funds like the Enteras, like the ones before it, and Mudrick and all that stuff. So these guys are going to turn around and give it to who? Same people. So that's why I see if yes goes through, I see multiple pops, multiple run ups, um, a crazy maybe squeeze, but I don't see MOAS whatsoever in that scenario. Captain, not likely. I like the idea of reverse split of Abe, right? Raise the money that way. And that's what it was created for. Exactly. I would love Ape to stay there. Honestly, I would love it to be AMC's form of dividend to when we are out of debt is issued through that. Shorts will be effed here and there. You are good looking, Amy. That's a dig, Diaz. That's a dig. Appreciate the love, brother. Uh-oh, we're playing the truth or dare game in the chat now. Uh, Goonie at AB, I also believe your point, AB. That's why all the meme went to the moon. They were burnt that time. Uh, it was the hodl that burnt them. And yes, and it's still the hodl, Goonie. It's still the hodl that is burning them. Um, they never seen that, but they back in January of 2021, I believe that's where they came up with a temporary solution. A temporary solution as in how they can prolong this game. And as long as they need cash, they got the repo and reverse repo operations. That's when it really picked up. After January of 2021, when the NSCC lost more money than it can even imagine, more than it even had, um, on those random run-ups with GME and other meme stocks and other stocks in the market because of people over FOMO leveraging and buying in. And then suddenly you saw after the June run-up, first February and March of 2021 is when I remember it like it was yesterday, when the Fed's repo and reverse repo operations were being raised from the 120 billion to about 200 billion in February and March of 2021. It was already in the 300 billion dollar range on a daily base, and that was like crazy alarming. So I was following it then, continued by June of 2021, it was already in La La Land. By 2022, it was already above 2 trillion. They got the money if they need it from you know who, as I mentioned. That's my opinion. That's the way I draw it. That's the way I see it. Their actions show me that on a daily basis. And in the same time, they have the problem is that's the way that they were able to solve the whole hodl mindset. Get them tired. They can't have more money than what we have because we have the Fed on our side. That's the way they see it, you know? It's well thought of. But we need shares because they fell into a big problem. We need shares. June 2021 made that a reality. 2022 come about. That FTX tokenized crap was all out. And it was busted and it was confirmed that there was how many billions of AMC shares that were being illegally utilized through that crap that will never be located. Take my word on that. Now that's out of the way. Suddenly, all of a sudden, quickly, please, we need reverse stock split. We need that. Win Moon AB and Win Move AB both. Wow. Yeah, tomorrow. Can always go to the booth. I'm much love to you for saying something like that, Diaz. It shows how much of a grown up and how much of a amazing individual and human being you are. So I got mad respect and mad love for you, brother. LHJ19, do you really think we will continue to buy more shares after reverse stock split? Yeah, right. Especially after the treatment we have been getting. Okay, LHGJ, sorry, 19. The thing is, I do personally think that people will continue to buy, but it's not going to be the same. Like, look at exactly what happened with, well, actually, no, that's not a good example. Like with GME, I was going to tell you that when it got to the higher prices, they didn't have volume anymore. There was no more volume. And you see it even until now. They even did a forward stock split to entice people to add the buy pressure back on. But it's still, you see it on the daily volume. There's not much. There's not much. And that's hurting the other side because one, They need money. It's weird how it's hurting us, but they're using it to hurt us, but it's also hurting them. As long as they don't show us the true data in the back, which is how much are they over leveraged with? How many true naked shorts do they have in the back? If people know that, people will never say yes to anything. Truly. Let's see. Yeah, they're definitely going to need a lot of diapers in the DTCC. I should have played some music in the background. I didn't think I was going to be around for long, honestly. All right. So, how do I see us moving forward with this? Since there's no more questions in here that I see, and I'll continue to look as I say how we move forward from the AB side, at least, and the AB's community side. If the yes or the no were to go through, one thing everybody has to stand for a second, take a moment of silence, and stand and look at one thing. These are the same people, whether yes or no. And this is the sad part I've noticed lately. All the like both sides do it, but especially I've seen one side doing it more than the other, a lot more. People are already annexing each other out based on their vote choice. And whenever we have an issue like that, we have a completely gigantic problem. People can vote for whatever the hell they want to vote for. People don't need to align their decision making with you because this is about their money. Just because it's your money and you won't looking out for you does not mean they all have to look out for you. They have to look out for themselves. So I want everybody to understand at the end of the day, for so many years, these are the same people, whether they yes or the no, that have been by your side, hodling by your side. To come out now because they see something differently and start degrading them and berating them and coming after them and doing all this stuff only shows the true character of you as a community in total, in general. And honestly, the last thing I would ever love is for me to hate this movement. I came in this probably before anybody that's in this screen here before. If you were in before September of 2020, then you can come and say, hey, AB, stand aside. And I have never ever, even with the ones that I don't agree with, I never ever brought anybody down because at the end of the day, they're holding with me. They're my best friend right now. More than Adam Aaron, more than the SCC, more than anyone else out there. Because at the end of the day, without me and without you and without her and without him and without her and without him, this would have not even made it thus far to this moment that we're in today. Lady Tahiti, you know? So love has to be constantly pumped out throughout this community. You don't know. Somebody could even come out and be a hater and honestly completely changes on the premise of the fact that there is love in the community to themselves, amongst themselves. If there is hate amongst ourselves, what the fuck do we deserve? How do we deserve anything? You gotta have love amongst the community. The want for me, I would be so happy. I'm so happy with the idea that each single one of you in here out there that don't even know about the AB Investments channel to make as much money, to be happy, to be wealthy and all that. I love that for you more than I love it for you as much as I love it for myself. I won't even say more. I'll love it for you more. It's just exactly as much as I would love it for myself. So that's the first thing, first and foremost. Second of all, if the yes was to go through, if we had a run up that started before this, I'm just gonna put all the sides into this because I see so many different people bring out so many different scenarios. So I'm gonna bring up the three most prevalent ones: the before the run up, before the split, the yes, and then the no. And one thing I will say, if it was a run up before the split, then obviously everybody's going to do what's best for them, no matter what. Anybody can come out and say, I'm holding while they already sold, or I'm selling while they're still holding. I mean, which doesn't make sense. Or I'm not doing this, blah, 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 because they want to sell so that other people could hold, and then afterwards they could get back in. So many different ways. You don't know who's in front of you, right? But if there was a run up, you're going to do what you got to do. No one is going to tell you yes or no if that run up happens prior to the split. Now, if the vote was a no, and let's say after all the adjournments and whatever and solicitation and all that stuff, then it's business as usual. In fact, I will be the most bullish individual on Mother Earth, on planet Earth. If the yes vote was to go through, then at the end of the day, hey, I don't know the future. One thing we all don't know is where we end up, where we die when it's our time. We all die one day. Hopefully, may the God and the Lord send the longest and healthiest and happiest of lives to all of you watching this and everyone else. But we all don't know where we end. So just like this play, maybe we drew it out to be different in the beginning of this movement. But, things can end the way that they do. As long as, in my humble opinion, I see them when they have to buy back their shorts, doesn't matter at what price, there is going to be a run up from the place that we're at right now. So if the yes was to go through, then hey, it's going to be business as usual. All of you will look out for yourself regardless. AB will look out for himself. You all will look out for yourself. But the one thing out of all those three options that AB doesn't have is hatred. Hatred toward the other side or this side or this side. There's no sides. At the end of the day, we are all, just like we vote in America, and we all vote, whether Republican or Democrat or whatever. At the end of the day, we're all Americans. We're going to vote. No one has the right to hate this person over this person. Because if you're going to if we're all going to hate each other, we're not even going to have a country. And therefore, we're not even going to have a movement if you compare the examples. So that's where I'm at with that. I will continue to talk about the why my opinion is a no, and why the things that might go down as a no. But that doesn't mean I would hate anybody, or the word hate is huge, or why it doesn't just also justify why anybody else would also hate AB. I can't control anybody's heart or people's thoughts and minds. If they are who they are, there are haters out there that will hate anything. They will hate their own shadow. So I can't control that. May God clean everybody else's intentions and hearts. At the end of the day, I'm here just to serve the purpose that I'm supposed to serve on this planet. And so are you. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, one day you will. You have to serve. Everybody serves a purpose in this life. Let's see. Let me look at some of these. Hopefully I didn't bore you to sleep. Much love, Adrian. Talk to you later, brother. $17.96 Patriots, that needs to stop. It needs to stop now. We need to be united 100,000%. 100,000%. Unity does not mean you have to, as an individual, totally agree with who you're uniting with. You don't. I could say no, and you could say yes, and we could be united, because at the end of the day, we hold the same stock. If everybody that says no sells, that's not going to be a good thing for the yes people. And everybody in the yes world sells, then it's not going to be good for the no side as well. So without all of us, this is nothing. This movement is nothing. Thank you, babe. Appreciate it. There's Vado Loco. We are a huge family that needs to learn to agree, to disagree. I'm glad to be around many of you all, always teaching me new things and showing love. Like back to you, right back at you, Varo. If you are old, GG, I'm a fossil. Diaz. Aaliyah, there are motivational people in the community who are not motivational. Welcome to 2023, Aaliyah. I love everyone, even though y'all cray cray. Moas will cure all. That definitely will cure all. You were right about that, Diaz. Anytime now. Sometimes the infight Gorilla Grodd reminds me of the politics nowadays. Either you are Dem or Repub, and one hates the other, even though they are supposed to have the same goal. Meanwhile, yeah, 1,000%, bro. I agree with you, man. At the end of the day, if somebody tries to raid the country, I don't know what idiot would think that, but any idiots out there that would try to raid this great nation, at the end of the day, what are you gonna do? We're all gonna count on ourselves as this great citizens of this nation. So we're gonna put everything on the side and align our interests because we're being attacked by a foreign entity. 1796 Patriot, we can negotiate the terms still. It does not have to be straight yes or straight no. That is, I mean, that's true, but it has to go through a yes or a no first, or that it has to take its course. The only thing that could happen is if Adam Aaron can yank the whole thing from the get go, regardless. But I haven't personally seen the agreement between that sale between Adam Aaron and Antera and how big corporations do business. We know when it, especially when it involves hundreds of millions of dollars, there's always going to be bylaws and conditions. And we got Diaz here. He will tell you all about that. Diaz, I'm not if I'm not wrong, you're a lawyer, right? So there's particular terms and stuff that can be agreed on so that in order for this other entity like Antera, for example, to come in and dump in millions of dollars, there has to be some bylaws on. I know one thing Adam Aaron mentioned in his tweet saying that they will, yes, agree to the yes vote, and that's they're holding until then. But that's the only thing we know. But is there something that in that contract that says Adam Aaron or AMC's board holds the right to at any given time change the dynamics of the agreement, or if they would not even do the proxy, if they can yank it and any of that stuff? I haven't seen that. So if unless that, I think that we have to go through this proxy first before we move forward. Hey, wait, who are you texting? I'm texting you guys. Hopefully you're getting the message. Leah, AB, you're good with being motivational, unlike people who do it for a career. Oh, well, I don't know how to respond to that. Well, that was very, it touched me in a very special place. Thank you for that. You humble me, Aliyah. Um, yeah, I don't know how to respond to that. I guess I'll just get shy. Can't wait for us all to roll into AV's place, test out his coffee. Yeah, I can't wait for that either. We're gonna be playing so much music and happiness, and hopefully it's not in this weather, not in this time. Hopefully it's in the warm weather. And you guys could do as much rolling as you want. Much love to you, Goonie. Thank you for also showing some love to the mods. I mean, these ladies and gentlemen that are in here, they're the finest of the finest, the cream of the crop out there. They're also my family members. So um, even when I don't have to say thank you to them, I'm always in awe and in appreciation and owe them majority of everything when it comes to this whole thing, because they're my rock, they're my spine, and they're my backbone. A lot of times I speak to them, um, and it could be about talking about stocks, but it in the back of my head and the back of my heart, it's more about me just wanting to communicate with them. I only find that out later or after. So much love to all my family and everyone else. Veronica, you got off work and got on. Oh my God. So it is. We did do 2 hours again. You guys remember in the beginning of the stream? I was like, we only do 1 hour or less. Uh, if you're watching this and you're just walking in right now, feel free to put 2.0 on the playback. It won't hurt my feelings. Yes, Hanzo. After the split, he can definitely bring. He will have around 140 plus million shares after reverse stock split, but they'll have 400 plus million on the side as well, authorized for any given time for issuance. They can issue it for whatever, and they don't even have to ask anyone's. They don't have to ask anybody's permission, and they don't have to bring it up to a vote. Hopefully that answers the question. Leah, did Mass make a video on the protest? He did, I think. I haven't seen anything, but I have lack of time, so I don't know. But I think he did. He's a good guy. Yes, Mass made a few. He said, but he will slowly put them out. A jailhouse lawyer, maybe. Better call Diaz. Get it? Get it? Actually, I would rather call Diaz. Knowing your voice, Diaz, speaking to you a few times before, better call Diaz. In 2021, we voted. Sorry. Okay, great. And let's see. I think we put our conditions on the proxy, don't you? Maybe like retail will get first choice when they offer shares, or something that gives us some sort of protection for us. Does that make sense? Yeah, yeah. No, 1796. I agree with you on that. Like they can add like any of these things and all that, but that's something that comes from where? From the board, from AMC. They're issuing the proxy, not us. Yeah, I'm all for that. See, it's one pill to swallow when about 80% of your position gets taken away. Again, when I say this statement, I'm saying it for the person, whether he or she, that do not have enough shares to make anything that is sizable when the party starts. So, like, I'm saying this for the people with 1,000 or 2,000 shares or less. Um, the reverse, that's one pill to swallow. The second pill to swallow is the authorized shares, the amount of authorized shares that they can dump and who it goes to. If that is if they can put something that determines that it will be dumped to us, not no Anteras, not no Mudricks, not no whatever shorting hedge funds or entities that will operate with hedge funds or the shorts, then then at least it will be a much lesser, it'll be just one pill to swallow. And that's in my world, it's in my position, that's fine. I can deal with that, no problem. But it is not gonna do good by the people that need it the most. And anybody that will sit there and say, add more to your position or be content. No one ever said that this is going to be your chance at changing life. Yes, they did. This movement was all about uh, changing and getting life changing wealth from the beginning. And the people have that. People have that right, and they have that. The biggest transfer of wealth, believe it or not, comes down to a vote. um, the only reason why a 1% coexists is because there's a 99% underneath it. And the goal of the 1% is to make sure that the 99% stays put where they are and where they belong, not, go up. Otherwise, there will be no 1%, you know? So it's that's the person that I'm making this argument for. It's the person who has to swallow more than one pill. If they at least, like I said, if there at least there's one pill to swallow when it's just the reverse and the convergent, no problem. But when there is also the idea of them having to, dump or any of the authorized shares at any given time to other entities, then you know what that will do. That will just prolong the play longer. You'll have multiple pops, but it will take a longer time. You'll be here back here again, 2025, and there's still some that are being covered little by little. Another point that in the beginning of the stream was brought up was the idea about the CSI video, and I said that the math, I think he was confusing himself with the math. The math is the same. Whether they do the reverse stock split before or they do it after, the amount of shares that you will be left with is the same. And I broke down how you could, rewind and look back how. But the reverse split on ape prior to conversion means less covering for all the shorts that's on there, which means it will run up because when it gets converged, they have to close their positions on that in this market. And they have to close obviously much less than they would have to initially close down with ape. Hats off to the single moms. Hats off to the single moms, 100%. What I'm trying to say is if we abstain until the terms are good for all people equal, see what I'm trying to say here? Yeah. 1796. I'm down with you on that. And I'm also answering like what we also want as far as that. I see what you're doing now. I see what you're doing now. Yeah, that would be lovely. They can keep soliciting and do adjournments to the vote until they fix the things. Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work. If everybody was to agree to that, oh my God, that would be a lovely thing. Since Adam Aaron listens to the investors and the shareholders, then people can let that be known through the vote. We will eventually vote to his yes if the terms are to also the shareholders' best interests. Very good idea, 1796. But the already one to say yes, or no. We have to meet in the middle somewhere, guys. And if we don't, and it's just an automatic this or that, then we still have to, love each other. Because at the end of the day, without each other, there's no movement. Let's see. Uh, Diaz, much love. Thank you, brother. I'm on my way out as well. You are a great gentleman and a wonderful scholar, my great friend. Much love and send my regards to your loved ones and to your family as well. All righty, my lovely family. So I said my piece on the how to go forward from the yes and the no. Ultimately, in my world, at least in my community's world, um, uh, nobody loves peace and unity more than me, probably in the world. All about that stuff. Uh, Pabloco, nice to at least get you now. You can, double X playback from the beginning if you would like. Um, but yeah, and 1796, yeah, I mean that's the least we could do. We're one family, one community. Acknowledging your thoughts is the most important thing. That's what it comes down to. Every person's thought, it could be the next thing that could be the solution to a big problem or to many problems. Um, at the end of the day, we're all one hodlers into millions, but we're all holding the same thing. So much love to you guys. If you have any much love back to you as well, Vado Loco. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section. Um, Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for spending your time with me and letting me take some of your time. Uh, Angelita Batistito, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for those words. Hopefully nobody comes like that one chill that I had the other day who said, hey, you're smiling all the time. I don't know. Are you happy that we're getting effed and all that stuff? And I was like, no, I'm smiling all the time because life is much bigger than investing only. But like I said, much love to everybody else. Thank you, Angelita. Uh, to you, gracias to you, back at you, Jay, Mr. McCowan. Later, brother. Gorilla God when you used basketball shop. You still got those balls? No. When the squeeze happens, we're due for a basketball tourney. Something, some sort of sport tournament, whether baseball, basketball, soccer, whichever one you guys want. Swimming, whatever you guys want. I'm a competitor, so I'll compete in all of those. Although I will say, basketball, oh my God, you guys are screwed. Soccer, you guys are definitely screwed. Football, well, I don't know how many people want to get hit, and flag football is not fun. Um, yeah, that's a stream for itself. We could talk about. Thank you, Shirley. Appreciate you as well. Have a fabulous rest of your evening, everyone. And we'll talk again on the next live. But in the same time, hopefully on the next live, I'll have my laptop, my computer, and everything, and we'll do all that stuff. Uh, Gorilla Grodd, you better put that money. You better put it on the side. Don't give it to Vado Loco. Put it on the side. I'll show you guys what's up. You choose the sport as long as it's not shooting or something. Yeah. Um, Much love to you too, and all my California family, CA. Thank you for being here. And yeah, so like we hopefully I'll have on the next live like the computer and we can look at some of the articles that I look at, some of the things that I look at to see where we at in this market as far as in today's world, whether from a drop or from a pump or whatever it is. Um, Kudos to my arms that were able to hold the phone for those 2.5 hours almost in the same stance. Thanks to all of you for making me my workout possible. Yes, we can. Um, and at the end of the day, much love to all of you and your family. I'm gonna go out. I feel like I don't even want to leave, but I'm not gonna be that person. I'm gonna go out. Hopefully, you learned a thing or two in this. Thank you so much for your time. Much love, bbby Investments.